Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So I want to start this video off today by just saying thank you guys so much for helping me to reach 1,000 subscribers. I will be doing a giveaway to commemorate this occasion because I'm so excited about it. If you follow me on Instagram at @VioletPrynne, I did post a poll out of a couple of my favorite books to see which ones you guys would be most interested in having a giveaway. And I did have a tie between Heart-Shaped Box by Joe Hill and December Park by Ronald Malfi. So I think I'm going to be doing 2 giveaways at some point, and in each giveaway, giving away one of those books. So yeah, I will have more information on that to come, but I did just order brand new versions of both of those books for this giveaway, and later on in the month, most likely, I will have information on our first giveaway. So yeah, thank you guys so much. I can't believe that I got to 1,000 subscribers in like 9.5 months. That blows my mind. When I started this channel, I didn't even think I was gonna ever hit like 200 subscribers. So thank you guys so much for watching, for all of the awesome things that you guys have been leaving on my comments and my Instagram posts. You guys are the absolute best. So yeah, thank you all so much. I know that I've had a lot of unboxings on this channel recently. It is spooky season, it is October, so I do definitely get a lot of Halloween boxes and autumn boxes. So I wanted to just break it up with a book review. I'm gonna try and get a bunch of reviews up. I have a lot of new books that I'm trying to read this month, so I think my wrap up is just gonna be a very long video this month, and I'm really just gonna aim my reviews on the books that were kind of the most anticipated horror books and thriller books that were coming out recently, just so I'm not flooding my channel with just like straight unboxings and straight reviews constantly. I want to be able to give you guys the most content as possible, but I want to make sure that it's unique and not repetitive. But today I want to talk about Slewfoot by Brom. So I want to shout out Tor Nightfire. They did send me this novel in exchange for an honest review. It is so freaking gorgeous. It is so gorgeous. When I saw the cover, I was just absolutely blown away, and I was really excited that they sent me a physical copy to read. So yeah, let me just read the back of the inside of the book for you. So it says, Connecticut, 1666. An ancient spirit awakens in a dark wood. The wild folk call him father, slayer, protector. The colonists call him Slewfoot, demon, devil. To Abatha, a recently widowed outcast, alone and vulnerable in her pious village, he is the only one she can turn to for help. Together they ignite a battle between pagan and Puritan, one that threatens to destroy the entire village, leaving nothing but ashes and bloodshed in its wake. If it is a devil you seek, then it is a devil you shall have. This terrifying tale of the witchery features more than 24 of Brom's haunting paintings, fully immersing readers in this wild and unforgiving world. Now this is a beautiful book. Even this inside with this kind of like devilish damask print I am obsessed with. The art on the inside cover is just absolutely gorgeous. I want to show you one painting. I hope this shows up on my camera. This is Samson. This is one of our main characters. He's also on the back of the book. For those of you guys who don't know, Brom is an artist, a very talented artist as well as a writer, and I do absolutely adore his paintings. Some of you guys might know his other works. He did write The Child Thief, which I've never read, and he did write Krampus, not really sure how to say it, even though I love Krampus, I just not sure. But he did write that novel. I've tried to read that novel twice, and I've stopped both times. It's not that I want to DNF that book, it's just that I feel like there's a pacing problem with that novel, and I always try and get into it, and then I kind of get bored with it and move somewhere else. And I'm going to talk about pacing and Brom in just a second, but it's not that that book's bad, but as somebody who is from a family who celebrates Krampusnacht, I have a bit of an issue with the folklore in that novel because Krampus is like Austrian and Germanic, and they make him like the child of Loki, and that bothered me quite a lot. So it just doesn't really follow the lore of the original Krampus. So yeah, there's that. But yeah, so let's talk about Slewfoot. I really wanted to love this. It is set puritanical New England. It is in Connecticut, so not Massachusetts like most are. It is about a very strong female lead who is shunned as a witch. I feel like I should read it. However, I felt that there was a real imbalance in the pacing in this novel that made this really difficult for me to get through. The first, like, quarter of the novel I actually really liked. I thought the development of the character of both Abatha and Samson was done really well. Really liked Abatha's husband, Edward. And then you meet Edward's brother. And Edward's brother becomes kind of like the pivotal villain in the novel. There's definitely a few, but he does become the pivotal villain from the get-go. And he just fits so many cliches and stereotypes that I've seen before that just as I was reading the novel, I was just rolling my eyes with like everything that he was doing because it just felt so overdone and unoriginal. And it's like, ooh, I put you in this precarious situation and I back you into a corner, and every time you think you find a way out, I just put you back into another precarious situation because I'm just this like evil, weaselly human being, and I'm gonna do whatever I can and throw out morals and throw all my morals out the window and just become this like pain in my side. And I was just so tired of reading about him. And then after that, you just get page after page after page of just like the cruelty and brutality that like the Puritans place upon women and just people and just who just don't fit their like holier than thou righteousness. And there's just so much hypocrisy, and the whole book you just felt like our main character was just constantly backed into a corner and that everything was just hopeless no matter what happened. But at the same time, everything was just stuff I've seen over and over and over again in like Disney movies, right? Like I felt like the villain in this was like a Disney villain, except what was happening was 10 times more brutal than you would ever see in like a Disney story, and it was just infuriating. And it's only like a 300-page novel, and it took me like over a week to read because I would just get to this like utterless despairing scene after scene after scene, and just constantly I would be like, oh, Abatha has hope now. What's gonna happen? What conniving, evil, semi-unrealistic thing's gonna happen to like just completely crush her soul and crush her spirits again and again and again and again? And I get it that that's the point. But I would have loved to see Brom take a different direction with it. Because again, the villain felt very cliche to me. The story, there really wasn't that much to it. The lore behind Samson, I thought was really interesting. I feel sort of similar to how I do about Krampus, where I'm not quite sure if like any of this lore is actually based on something. I feel like Brom pulled from some Native American folklore, but I couldn't actually find anything that said that what we were grabbing from was like real. It's called Slewfoot. I googled Slewfoot and I really couldn't find much of anything on Slewfoot. So I feel like that was a made up character, which is cool. But I don't know, there was something wonky about the folklore in this novel, and I'm not sure if I wanted it to be rooted in something real or rooted totally in fabrication, and I feel like it was a little too intertwined. Like at one point there's a moment where they refer to Slewfoot as like a weird spelling of the Wendigo, and I was like, I don't know if this is like how to interpret that, because this is clearly not a Wendigo, but it's also not spelled the way we would normally spell Wendigo. So I don't know if this is just like a nod to like where Brom was influenced by it, but I'd rather just maybe separate the two because they're not the same. I don't know. It was rough. It was rough. However, this is a book that tries to be very feminist, and I think in a sense it succeeds. However, it involves reading about so much cruelty to women that I don't know if I would be like, yo, this is the feminist book you should read. This is some feminist horror, because it's really disturbing and uncomfortable to get through. You feel pretty icky afterwards. And then the other thing I will say is I felt like, again, the beginning I really enjoyed, and the end was pretty fast-paced and like really cool, and there's definitely that moment of like, haha, like everything's coming together and like our main characters are finally like getting revenge and all this like whatever. And then it ended, you know, like I wanted it to be more balanced out, because 2/3 of the novel we're just sitting there reading about how horrible these Puritans are to our main character, just over and over and over and over again. And there's just so much hypocrisy, and I felt like Brom started to create certain characters, like the Reverend's good wife and Helen and the sheriff, and kind of put them on like, maybe these are good people, but then decided to like backtrack from that and be like, nah. So I was like, I don't quite understand why, like, he shifted how these characters were portrayed for 90% of the book the second Hysteria comes into play. And I don't know if that was like a commentary on like puritanical values or society, but it just felt forced. And it didn't feel like they were giving into Hysteria at all. It just felt like Brom kind of gave up on those characters and just threw them in with everybody else. And then I do have to say, like, Abatha has a lot of hatred for a lot of people for a lot of reasons, but at the end, her hatred seemed misdirected. Like, the people who the book made to be the real villains didn't get as much of a focal point as being the real villains at the end as other lesser characters. And I found just that imbalance very, very strange. And I found just the absolute last scene of the novel extremely strange. I didn't really think it was necessary. I felt like it could have ended before like the epilogue, and I would have been totally cool with it. So I don't know. But at the end of the day, there are some really cool concepts, some really cool imagery. The art's really cool. And I liked the folklore that Brom gave us. I just wanted a little bit more out of it. I thought the creatures he described were really interesting. A lot of like the wild folk are animals with human faces. And I thought that was a really cool way to anthropomorphize animals. I found it both disturbing and eerie, as well as really compelling and cool to kind of humanize these beings and like kind of elevate them to having the personalities and the purposes that they have in the novel, and like why they do what they do. I just thought it was really cool and interesting and very strange and kind of, I guess once again, lore to add to the book. I did really like Abatha as a character. I thought she was a very compelling, cool character. I really wish she wasn't put in a lot of the situations she was, which again is the point of the book, but I just felt that the book had addressed it in a different way or balanced out the different parts of the book in a more equally formed way. I really wish that the middle had been truncated and that the end had been elongated. I feel like that would have made for a much more tangible, palatable, feminist story, especially about the hypocrisy of Puritans in the 1660s, because there was a lot of it. A lot of it was political, and this book really, really plays up on how hypocritical Puritans were when it came to land and power in the 1660s. So definitely a nice ode to the Crucible, definitely a nice nod to the Salem witch trials. And I did love that aspect of it. I liked how historically accurate it felt to some extent. Sometimes I felt the language was a little more modernized for the sake of the reader, which didn't really bother me because reading like the older English can be difficult at times. But I did really enjoy it, and I loved that Abatha was kind of this like vulgar, independent English woman all of a sudden just plopped in puritanical Connecticut. I thought that was a really interesting take on a woman in a Puritan setting. I thought it was really, really fun. So yeah, I'm really torn on this book. This was a 3-star read for me. I kind of debated between being 3 and 4, but I felt like just how kind of queasy and uncomfortable I felt just constantly reading about how much Abatha was just tormented, just really dragged on when it didn't really need to, and I just couldn't give it 4 stars because I found the pacing to just really, really hinder this book. So yes, this was definitely a really, really hard one for me to rate, and it was this. I put reviewing this book off for about a week just because I wanted to make sure I knew how to talk about it before I spoke about it, because there are a lot of really cool aspects to this novel, and there's also a lot of downfall to this novel. I wouldn't want to discourage anybody from reading it, but this is a slow burn with some really, really interesting visuals, some really, really interesting folklore and creatures. Several villains, one that's just kind of thrown in there and I'm not really sure why, but he was really cool. So maybe that's why. And it's, at the end of the day, it is a very feminist book. It is a very pro-female book, and I do love the main characters. I really love Abatha and I really love Samson. And this has convinced me that I'm going to finally finish Krampus. I always say Krampus and then somebody told me it was Krampus, and that's like blown my mind because my mother speaks German and lived in Austria has always said Krampus. So I am just like beyond confused with that. But reading this has convinced me that I am going to finish Krampus by Brom this winter for December to get me in the mood for Christmas season. So yes, 3 stars, interesting read. And again, thank you so much, Tor Nightfire, for sending this to me. This was a real treat. I'm really, really excited I got the chance to read this, and the art in this is so, so beautiful. Like, I can't, like, talk that up enough. The art in this is so stunning. He does a little tiny painting for every single chapter, and then there's larger, like, ink paintings in the center of the book. It's really cool. So yeah, those are my thoughts on Slewfoot by Brom, which was just recently released by Tor Nightfire. Thank you all so much for watching. As always, I post every Monday and Thursday, sometimes on Saturdays, and if you enjoy these videos, please hit the like and subscribe buttons down below, and I'm hoping to get some more reviews out to you all soon, and I will catch you all in the next one. Mwah.